you want more?
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Good. How are you?
Great, man.
Let me get my video my video going here.
There
Hey,
you
man.
go.
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
So you have a new Talas record coming out, which is great. I mean, I think having been a fan for, throughout your career, I think I didn't discover you. I discovered you through Talas.
Right on.
And then obviously followed you through Roth and then Mr. Big and then now Sons of Apollo, Niacin, all this, everything you've done, I think, even Skills, which,
Wow, pretty cool. Right on. Well, thank you
So-
for being there and listening. Or it means a lot to me. I've been lucky to have a career with such a length, I guess.
Yeah. So real quick, how did you reconnect with the Talas guys for this release?
Well, there's been a lot of versions of Talas, actually. There's been about 8 or 9.
Right.
And we had done some reunions with the version that did the Sink Your Teeth Into that album.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys, as far as I know, didn't want to play anymore. So the other version, which was the version that was the one I left in 1985 to go join with David Lee Roth,
Right.
I've been in touch with all of them, but we just hadn't done anything yet. And then we did a Winery Dogs show, and Mark Miller came to the show, the drummer. And Mark was a big influence on people back in the day. I remember the first, Mike Portnoy sent me a photo of the very first Dream Theater rehearsal, and he's wearing a Talas shirt because he was such a fan of Mark. He used to come see us play. We played in Brooklyn. So Mark was a very pivotal and influential drummer to a lot of people.
Right.
So I saw Mark, and he was with his daughter, and I know his wife sadly had passed away. And I realized, his kids had never seen him play.
Huh.
And he's got 2 children, both adults, but they'd never seen him. I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if we could do a show and they could see their dad? It was mind blowing. And I've always been in touch with Phil Naro as well. Now, Mitch Perry lived on the West Coast, but Phil had a guy that he worked with in Rochester, New York, that was really a great guitar player named Kire. He did most of the record. So we said, well, we could do a show sometime, and they were very into it. So we did a little free outdoor show in Rochester, New York at summertime.
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago today.
Oh, wow.
Was the date of it. So
Right.
So good timing, KNAC, right on.
Yeah, right.
And it was amazing. It was jam-packed. People went crazy. The rehearsals, we had such a riot. It was such a good time because with that lineup, we did the Yngwie tour. So Talas Yngwie tour. I just posted about it on my Facebook, and a lot of comps. I look like I was 14 in that photo, but I was way past that. Trust me. But anyway, I look really young. So we did a few more gigs here and there, and said, well, maybe we could do a record. And I said, yeah, all these songs we had that we never really properly recorded. Some of them were on a live record, Live Speed on Ice, but that record was a hurry up. And as much as I was happy with the record, we didn't have much time to prepare for it. They came out, did a live show, they did a quick mix, and it wasn't exactly what I would have wanted.
Right.
So we had all these songs. So we thought, okay, if we do a record, we should maybe modernize everything and bring it up to speed, or do it like we did back in the old days. I said, you know what? Let's jump in the time capsule and go back to 1985,
Right.
which was a very good year, as Frank Sinatra might say.
Right.
Music was everything. I remember the summer of '85 when I came out to LA after that tour I just mentioned with the Talas and Yngwie to join with Dave Roth. The streets were lined with people on Sunset Boulevard. It was like Mardi Gras every night. The Rainbow was back. The Roxy was back. I think it was still the whiskey at that point. Yeah, the whiskey was there, but I'm trying to think of what it was still Gazzari's when I got there. That's what I meant on Sunset Boulevard. So it was just an amazing time for bands. Everybody was playing. Everybody was getting signed. All this stuff was going on. So let's go right back to that time, 1985. the title of the record.
Right.
It was a very, very good year. So we went and to Mark Miller's house, which he built by hand from the ground up. He's an amazing craftsman and architect as well. And we set his drums up, which he built himself also. And we laid down basic tracks of everything, and didn't take much in the way of rehearsal, because we all kind of somehow in our DNA remembered all that stuff. Laid it down, and then we went and did our little overdub thingies, and bang, there we were. We had our record, and we're very, very pleased with it, and looking forward to people's response on it. But it was meant to pay tribute to that moment in time, 1985, when it was a KNAC ruled the world.
Right. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, and I think it does capture that time frame. Like, if you listen to the tunes, I mean, it has the modern day production, but the tunes are, they do have that I don't want to say retro, because I think the Talas has its own distinct sound. You know, if you followed the band, you know it's Talas.
Yeah.
But it does capture that time frame.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad, because that was our goal. So if you think we got it, that's a point for our side. I'm glad, because that's what we wanted.
Right. And I think there was a tune, I think Black and Blue was written way back in '85, right? That goes back to
I think the beginnings of it were, but we never played or recorded that. But I'm not sure exactly the song's history, but I wanted to do something with Phil that was new, because we began to realize the situation that was arising around us as we were recording with Phil's health. And he did an amazing job. And it's a great song, kind of Beatle-ish, but definitely something we would have done in our show. And he brought his son along to sing harmonies with him. He's got his son has a great voice too. So it was kind of a father and son thing. So we're happy to do that for Phil, and I think the results came out very well.
Yeah, and then Close to the Killer is another great song. I mean, the title kind of fits like the old Talas, formula. I mean, you guys had some killer titles to the tunes that you guys recorded.
Yeah, our lyrics were never, I didn't have any love songs ever. Right. I actually made it as my goal back in the day to I couldn't say love, heart, or baby in any lyric. I mean,
you could have been in Metallica.
but they probably I wasn't aware of that about that particular band. I'm glad to hear that though, but because they're just so overdone so much, we wanted to kind of step outside of the road of it's about the girl and it's about love and a broken heart and all that sound, all those things. So we tried to be a little different. Close to the Killer, Intermounting Flame, The Power to Break Away, things like that. A little bit not your usual fare, I would say.
Sure. Story behind that particular song, Close to the Killer, was that one also way back? Didn't get finished?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I had that on a demo, and I sent it to, I don't even remember, a gentleman named Byron Hontus.
Okay, yeah.
He was with Capitol Records.
Right.
And when I got to LA to play with Dave, I'd see him around a lot, and we'd talk, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, that song, Close to the Killer, what, you got to do it." I go, "Oh, well, thanks, I'm glad you like it." And every time I'd see him, "Close to the Killer," and I thought, okay, cool. So I thought, hey, I know how to make one guy happy. Let's do that. I actually wrote that with the previous version, Talas, and that version split up while we were trying to record a new record. It just wasn't going anywhere, and all hell broke loose, and that was the end of that. I had to put another band together, and I had already worked a bit with Mark Miller and Phil Naro, so we did that and brought Mitch Perry out from the West Coast for this version of Talas. But he loved that song, and I was a little hesitant because I sing on it, and I always say, "All right, I know how to sell a lot of T-shirts. I know how to, out of the bar is going to sell a lot of drinks. Let me sing one," because people are scattered and they'll all run away. But I managed to croak it out, not as horrible as I feared. So I think it was enjoyable to get to that song properly, because I've always liked the lyrics. It's kind of about, though it may seem somewhat obscure, a guy with like an MMA fighter or a boxer being around that scene, and he's watching from the ringside. He's near what it's like to be around a guy that's a killer. That could beat you up easily.
So real quick, I mean, because you closed out the record, with another one of your cool, instrumental, tunes. Tell me about that one. Was that new for the record, or had you been toying around with that for a bit?
Yeah, that's new. It's upside down. It says for Phil, because that was for our dearly departed Phil. I wanted to do a little bit of a tribute and an honor to him. And at the time, I'm not sure he had passed yet, but we knew it was coming, and so I don't think we even decided to put it on the record yet. I just kind of did it. And then when sadly I got the news, I thought, well, I talked with the other guys and with his brother, and do you think this is appropriate? And they said yes. So we put it on the record. Yeah, it was a man, what a tough break. Phil's such a great singer, amazing on stage, electronic on stage. I mean, he's just exciting and fun and a riot. One of the easiest guys I've ever worked with in my life. They talk sometimes about lead singer's disease. Phil was immune to that completely. He's one of the nicest guys. I've worked with 2 or 3 singers in my life that are just a breeze to work with, and he's probably the easiest I've ever worked with. And we wanted this album to be a lot about a tribute to him.
Out of curiosity, because I know, he fell ill, and that was leading up to the recording of the record. He was sick during the laying down his vocals and stuff.
Yeah. Now he was physically able, but he knew he was in big trouble because I don't know the exact details of the progress rather of the disease. It was I think a couple of forms of cancer, but that's why when we recorded it, I would be here in my studio. I have a music computer to my right, and this is my FaceTime, Zoom, whatever email computer. Right. And the whole idea was we use audio software called Audio Movers. What they do is they take the output of the recording console in Toronto, Canada, where he was, and the engineer, Russ McKay, who did an amazing job. And that comes to me in real time with no delay. I don't know, it's magic. I don't know how they do it. Unbelievable. So I get the actual coming through my studio speakers. I've got the full mix and his vocal. And here, this would be our talk back. So we could talk back and forth. So a couple of times I noticed he would be a little scatterbrained. And it started to concern me because I know, he's singing his ass off. He's singing great. But like we'd do a line, with a lyric in it, and he'd get the wrong lyric. And I'd say, oh, Phil, great. I got the lyric sheet here. Check it out. The lyric on that second line. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Then he'd make the same mistake again. Phil, watch out on that second line. You got a little, make sure you get that right. Make the mistake. Hey, Phil, let me point one thing out to you. We keep hitting the wrong word at that thing. And then finally he would get it. Now, his pitches were great. It was right on. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of singers don't make it past, their mid 40s without really losing a lot of range. Sure. We didn't detune anything. It's all in the right pitch. And he hit his pitches like a champion. Right. But I could tell there was a lot on his mind, and certainly he was bearing the weight of the situation on his shoulders and starting to worry a bit. So he still managed to deliver, which was, to me, just beyond awesome. He really stepped up to the plate and did what he was supposed to do, in spite of knowing that he was in big trouble. He's in big trouble. So
I mean, it's a killer vocals on it. I mean,
great. Just great.
I was wondering, whether he had found out he was ill during the recording of it or not, because I mean, it sounds great.
Yeah, he had a bout of this particular cancer. It looked good. It kind of went away, and then it came roaring back, and it wasn't affecting him, but it was in his throat area, so we were concerned about it. But he just kept delivering. And bang, it was pretty great. And then I think this is just my own personal speculation. I apologize if it's or just I want to qualify it as speculation. I think he really rose to the occasion because he wanted to do it. He really wanted to get this Talas record done because Talas meant a lot to him in '85. When I left, it was a tough decision.
Right.
We were on the Yngwie tour. We just signed with the William Morris agency. Danny Goldberg ran a record company called Gold Mountain, and they were, I think, an Atlantic affiliate.
Right.
And they wanted to sign us for a major label deal. He went on to manage Nirvana, became a huge record company exec, very famous, very wonderful guy. And so I had to leave, and then we got to William Morris Agency, did the Yngwie tour. The first day of the Yngwie tour was in LA. The day before, I had a day off there. And that's when I went out to meet with David Lee Roth. And he said, and I didn't know what it was about, what the meeting was about. And he said, hey, initially he told me that it was for a movie. And I said, that's kind of strange. So when he said to me, hey, there is a movie, but what I really want to do, I just quit Van Halen. I want to start a band. You and me, let's find a guitar player and drummer and go. And I said, geez, I always said to everyone, I'd never leave my band Talas except if it was for Van Halen. So I thought, David Lee Roth, close enough.
Right.
That was it. So I just had to because we were struggling. Even though we did have some good news there, I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna make my move here. I got to do it. I felt bad about it. So that whole tour, I couldn't say anything. And I'd be getting up on stage with the band every night, knowing that the last show of this tour is mine. So finally, when I broke it to them at home, it was heartbreaking for me to do. And I love those guys. Anyway, I think I speculate that Phil, really kind of rallied at the end because the band meant a lot to him. And so again, he just did an incredible job. Very inspiring.
Right. It's like going out on top, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I'm glad that this record and the response to it I've had from everybody I've played it for, they just said, well, Phil's vocals, man, he's killing it.
Right.
That's right. He did. Amazing. So I'm glad about that.
As someone that's followed your career in Talas and stuff like that, I always read stuff, I think in interviews way back in the day, whether it was like Hit Parade or Circus or, any of those rock magazines. Did you in fact sell the name to the guys for $1? Was that accurate, or is that just one of those stories that was just kind of floating around out there?
Yeah, I own the name because from the previous Talas, they abandoned the band. So according to our agreement, it falls on me. But when they left the band, I had crew, truck, sound lights, a lot of people support. So they go, hey, let the band dissolve and everybody's out of work, or let's get back. In a panic, I got a hold of Mark Miller, got a hold of Phil. We found Mitch Perry coming from LA for a guitar, put it together quick rehearsal, get out and play. And we did really good. So, but they worked hard. They all worked very hard on it. Phil and Mark, especially. Mitch, we parted ways about halfway through our time together. Another guitarist, Johnny Angel, came in. But and I said to them, hey, if you guys want to continue on with Talas, I'll do everything I can to help you out. Matter of fact, if you want to use the name, since I own it, I don't want to just give it to you, but I'll lease it to you in perpetuity for $1.
Okay.
It's just a symbolic thing. A lot of times contractually, you can like a guy who wants to sell his house to his brother. Okay, he's got to sell it for something. Here's do it for $1. And we'll call it even. So, and they did carry on a little bit. They got a couple guys from downstate New York, and I don't think it ever went anywhere, though. Unfortunately, it was at the time there was a little bit of a fall off of fortune for a lot of bands that relied on playing in bars because they raised the drinking age up to 21, so it cut the bar business in half, and that was trouble. So I think that was certainly a factor, and I was. I don't want to say was a driving force, but I had this relentless thing to get somewhere with that band through hook or by crook. So I did really concentrating on pushing it forward. Maybe they saw it as more my thing than theirs, and I'm not sure how it went down, but they decided not to continue it. So the name referred back to me, and I did nothing with it for about 32 years.
Right. And going with the theme, I mean, there's a Rush connection. Obviously, with Mr. Big supported Rush on a few tours and stuff like that. And in this case, you guys, I guess, got you signed to do the artwork for the record. This is new. It wasn't an existing piece. This was okay. Tell me about that.
Well, Russ McKay, our incredible engineer and mastering master in Toronto. What a great engineer. And he's just so knowledgeable. And he used to come see the band, so he knew exactly what to do in a mix. We have an alternate mix of the record too. And at the end, we decided to go with Russ's mix. At one point, we'll release the other one too. It's really cool. It's different. But Russ used to come see the band. So he knew exactly how it was supposed to sound, and he nailed it. So he had, as an acquaintance, Hugh Syme, and Hugh also knew Phil. Phil spent a lot of time in Toronto. So over the bridge from Buffalo, New York, Rochester, Buffalo, over the bridge to Toronto. And Toronto is a great music city. Buffalo being so close to it, we got their Chum FM radio. We get on our stations. We hear all the Canadian bands. I was actually a part briefly of Max Webster, Kim Mitchell's band. What a great band. That's why I used to do Battle Scar as an encore song or whatever back in the day. And so we heard all these great Canadian young street bands, Gatto, Honeymoon Suite, just great bands. So Phil knew Hugh from his time in Toronto. Also, I think one of the young ladies he was married to lived in Toronto, and Hugh was incredibly generous to contribute to us by doing that cover. And he's quite a legendary guy. I spoke with him on the phone. He was a wonderful guy, and man, what a brilliant career he's had and continues to have. Some amazing album covers.
Yeah, that totally is a cool cover. I mean, it fits the time. Fits the band and the title and everything. So that's great.
Because that car, the DeLorean, was 1985 was when that came out. So
yeah, I was wondering. The first thing that came to mind is that the car that Ace Frehley wrecked?
No, it's from Back to the Future.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so cool. I want to talk about some of the stuff that you've been involved with in the past, if that's cool, and I'll just blast through those. I don't know how we're doing time wise, but
pleasure to be back on KNAC. This is so wonderful.
So I got a question. Last year there was the deluxe edition of Lean Into It, which I totally loved. I got a chance to speak to Eric about that. I think he worked on the liners. I think you did some press for that as well. I saw some videos of you unboxing the package and stuff like that. Is there a chance something like that's going to happen with the debut record? Because again, that's a landmark record in the sense that it introduced the band to the masses.
I believe, I might be wrong, I think they're working on that now.
Okay.
That and hopefully those first four. Lean Into It was, of course, our biggest record, so they did that first. I think the first record, and then Bump Ahead, which Wild World was on, and then Hey Man was the fourth. They're all pretty much the same situation, same producer, same everything. So it wasn't until the next record, Paul had left the band for a while. He did eventually come back, but he left, so it wasn't the same. So those four are kind of our foundation album. So hopefully we'll do it with all of them. It was really cool on the Lean Into It. They contacted me to go to a studio here, and they did the Music -1 version, so there was no bass, and I played bass along with it. And I went there, Ocean Way Studios here in Nashville, great studio, giant board, it's a huge place. And I'm like plugged into one thing so I could play my bass. It's kind of funny. They're going to run Daddy, Brother, Lover, Little Boy. And I'm like, okay, so here's the band. And before they started, I realized I didn't go over it. I had to practice it. Now, we played it for years and years and years. You think, oh, you remember. But a lot of musicians will tell you got to go back and review because there's so many songs you got to learn for shows. You don't always remember them all. So I just said, hit it. And I got it. Got through it with in one take, and we made it happen. So I was nervous about that, but it came out not bad. It was pretty cool. It was fun to do. And then when I posted it, I get a lot of comments about it. People, it's amazing when you put out a record. A lot of musicians discover this. You put out a record and you do your thing, and if it gets any traction, you go on tour. If it gets we have a hit record off it, which we're incredibly lucky to have. Touches a lot of people in a lot of ways, and some of the emails and comments that I got from people that this record was important to them and it meant something in their lives. It's unbelievable. It's so great. You know, I'm so lucky because I get that often, people writing about a particular thing Mr. Big did or Talas did or whatever the lineup. We had I think the 36-year anniversary of Eat 'Em and Smile.
Yeah.
This summer, July 6th, I think.
Yeah.
And man, the comments just wouldn't stop. They're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Oh, just great how they. When Dave came out with this record, what it meant to them and everything. Yeah. So it's a pretty amazing thing to reach and touch so many people when you put a record out. And that one, Lean Into It for sure, was a very important record for all of us in Mr. Big. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that we lost Pat Torpey, our drummer, to hear his playing again. And for me to do the music -1 playing, listening to Pat again was just a beautiful thing. I loved it very much, and he was my closest musical friend of my whole life, I believe, and what a great drummer as well. So it was great to revisit working with the amazing Pat Torpey.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that that's going to continue at least for the time being with the debut, and then like you said, going forward to at least maybe hopefully the first 4. That'd be awesome if they're all
that'd be cool.
Deluxe
form. Really. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
I love that kind of stuff. Real quick, I know another one of my favorites, Michael Schenker. I know you did some demos with MSG. Why did that not, I guess, turn out to be like a full-time, partnership participation with MSG? Was it because of the Talas thing? Just give us the lowdown on that, because I know you were involved with the recording of some demos.
Yeah, I think it was 1979. And myself and Denny Carmassi, he's the Rock Candy Montrose drummer. That beat from Rock Candy got him more gigs than you could ever imagine. People would hear that, call this guy. So Dennis, I didn't know him. I was still in Talas back in Buffalo, and I was excited to meet him. And AC/DC and UFO were on tour coming through Buffalo. UFO had a problem at the border for some equipment thing or whatever, or serial number on some amp. And they couldn't make the show. So they did a makeup show by themselves, and Talas opened up because the local promoter would often use us as an opening act for bands that needed a little more ticket sales, because we were we were doing really well in Buffalo. So the local promoter asked us to do that show with the original lineup of UFO, Paul Raymond, Michael Schenker, everybody else. And by the way, the promoter was Harvey and Corky Productions, who later became our managers. And Harvey is Harvey Weinstein.
Oh.
So he's no longer in the business, as far as I know.
Right.
But he was the guy who set that up. So we do owe him a debt of thanks for that. But Michael saw me play, and then later on, I didn't know anything about it. But in England, he quit the band, and his manager Peter Mensch, who manages Metallica now, I think, contacted me to go over there. So we went over there, Danny and I, and we laid these tracks down. I just got a data recovery service, save a hard drive that had all of my cassettes recorded digitally onto them, including Michael's original demo he sent to me, with him singing on it too. It's pretty amazing. It's private. It's Michael's stuff, so I can't play it for public. But if you're ever at my house and we had a couple glasses of wine, I'll play for you. Right. And so we did pre-production on everything. We were almost to the point of going to a studio, and Here's my take on it is Michael just quit UFO, a big successful band, and now all the pressure's on him to do this. And Michael, at that time or that situation, just did not have the personality to take charge and be in control of everything. He's a guitar player. That's what he does. You know, making band decisions and record company stuff. I from what I could tell, that just wasn't his thing, and he kind of fell apart a little bit. We felt for him very, very much, and so the thing kind of fell apart. Denny and I went home. They called us a few months later to go back, but Denny was busy and I was busy. We couldn't do it. So some of those demos ended up on one of Michael's records. I think maybe some kind of greatest hits thing or something. But they did. I remember they contacted my lawyer because it's my bass on there, and Denny to let us know so we could give him permission to do that. So it was eventually on there. But he was a really wonderful guy, and sad to see him under immense and difficult pressure. He just kind of buckled, and I would have too, I think, the same situation. But I'm glad to see he's back in action, doing better than ever, healthy, and out there playing his ass off as it was. I love his playing. He was just a great guitar player. And I remember the Strangers in the Night record, and the Lights Out record was one of my, I listened to that record 1,000 times. It's so great. So that's the story.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because
one of many stories.
It posted that jam that you did with Sammy and the surf doing Rock Candy. So there you go. It all kind of goes full circle and stuff.
Exactly, full circle is right. Yeah, we were such Montrose fans back in the day in the '70s. We played Rock Candy, Space Station No. 5, Good Rockin' the Night, and Rock the Nation. Mm-hmm. Maybe one more. But we love that record. We played it. We played every bar in Western New York that us pounding those songs out all the time. So it was pretty cool.
So I just got a couple more things, and I'll cut you loose.
Sure.
The next one is I know recently there's been a lot of footage popping up from the Eat 'em and Smile lineup and stuff like that. As far as you know, was there any pro shot stuff out there?
I got it. I have it.
Okay.
I think I'm the only guy with it.
Okay.
They shot it pro, and it's Dave's tour and Dave's music, so I can't do anything with it, unfortunately. At some point, maybe I'll try and get in touch with Dave. You want to put this out? Yeah, but I had a pro shot. I remember. I forgot how I got it. As far as I know, nobody else has it. Okay. So I just reviewed it the other day, backed it up again to another 3 drives to make sure I didn't lose it. But I'm not sure if it could be out someday, or if Dave would be interested in doing it, but I got it. It's here for him. If he wants it, I'll be happy to put it in my Dropbox and send it over to him.
Yeah.
And but yeah, most of them are just handheld, shaky, audio like that, But this one is the audio is good. It's not great, but it's better than most of the handheld camera things. Back then, a video camera, to sneak it into a venue, they were big. Right. Somehow people did. It's pretty amazing. I mean, there were some sneaking medals at Jack Daniels, and a camera isn't too far of a stretch during concerts in 1986 there. So yeah, I do have a pro shot. And for a while, I couldn't find it. So I thought, did I imagine it? Or am I fooling myself here? But sure enough, the other day, there it is, bang. I got it.
Nice. Well, here's the last one, and it's probably the most important question. So I know I follow you on Facebook, social media, and stuff, and I think you had concocted this drink of a vodka shot. No. Did you ever find a name for that? What did you call that thing?
I asked, think of a name for it, and we got. It's funny. I'll post some song or music, and I get 15 comments, 20 comments, 30 comments. Post my cat, 400 comments. Post me cooking, 800 comments. A shot of A1 steak sauce and vodka was about 1.5 or 1,000, 1,500 comments. But we asked for the name, and the one that intrigued us the most, because as we were sitting there drinking, I'm watching on my phone, 200 comments, 400 comments, 800 comments. And steak and potatoes was the winner for us. But I found out Tito's is made with corn. It's not potato. So there's a little caveat in there, a little warning. But we were just kidding around because my wife's from Italy, and Italians are really touchy about their food, rightfully so. It's amazing. Italian cuisine is probably the most popular cuisine around the world that is not native to any particular country. You'll find Italian restaurants everywhere, you know. So when she has a steak, she it's just steak. You know, there's nothing on it. And us Americans ruining everything. I love A1 steak sauce. And we're a bunch of people. My next door neighbor and me and my neighbor, we loved it, but everybody else was like, I don't know. So I said, it just makes everything taste great. I could drink it by the shot. And another friend of ours is there too. So I could drink it by the shot too. We go, we should have it. We got to put some vodka in there. So funny, people are asking, what's the ratio? We just basically filled a half shot of vodka, the rest with A1. And it was actually pretty good.
Okay.
It's kind of like a little kind of steaky, beefy, bright. I wouldn't make an evening of that though.
Right.
One was enough for me. I was never like a heavy drinker, but when I was younger, I certainly could tolerate a lot more than I can now. So I had one. It was really good. No one else would even touch it, but all of us that had it loved it. And a lot of people commented that they tried it as well. We're asking for what ratios. We just kind of half put it together. But, for your listeners, if you this upcoming weekend, half a shot of vodka, half a thing of A1 if you're an A1 fan.
All right.
And you'll see, and let me know in the comment section.
yeah, we'll see what kind of response there is to that. Hey man, thank you for your time. Huge fan. Look forward to talking to you again. Always a cool dude to catch up with at NAMM shows and stuff like that. Real fan friendly and everything. And keep following you on social media. We'll plug all this stuff and we'll get this online and get a link back to you.
Beautiful. I appreciate it very much. All my best to everyone there at KNAC, and glad you guys are still kicking. And you guys were instrumental in making the scene. And in the 80s in LA, that was you were certainly the kingpin of so much musically. Right. So I appreciate you guys keeping that legacy going. It's wonderful.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Billy.
All right. Get in touch if you need me for anything. I'm Billy at BillySheehan.com or on socials. And I hope I see you around soon.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.